All right, let's get MediaWatch for you now. Emma James is with us in the studio looking at the top stories and the buzz they are creating online. And Emma, more fallout, of course, from that independence referendum in Catalonia at the weekend. What are people saying about that today?
Well, today there is, of course, a huge reaction in Catalonia with much of the whole area and the streets brought to a halt by a general strike. And a lot of people are asking, really, whether this was Spain's greatest own goal, the fact that they chose to try to suppress this vote instead of let it go ahead. The cartoonist for the New York Times, Chapat, came up with this image, two Spanish police officers brandishing batons and basically breaking away, causing that breakaway of Catalonia. And Foreign Affairs has put it this way on Twitter very succinctly, really. It's difficult to picture a more counterproductive course of action Madrid could have taken on Catalonia. Now, if you take a look at some of the Spanish media, El País, which does some articles in English as well, this is by their managing editor. This has a very different take and talks about the fact that the police were not being directed by the government, so it shouldn't be the government that's held accountable. They were, in effect, ordered to act by the judiciary, who had decided that this referendum was unlawful.
It had to be stopped, yeah.
Absolutely. And they also point out in this that only 35% of Catalans in the last election actually voted for pro-independence parties. So they're trying to say that basically don't overestimate the support for independence. El País certainly not sitting on the fence here. They say that if Catalonia were to go its own way, Spain as we know it would cease to exist. Now, all of this kind of talk and, of course, the violent scenes on Sunday have caused a huge outpouring really onto the streets to show that this is not the way this should be decided. These are the streets in Barcelona, so you can see thousands of people packing the streets there. Now, The Guardian, which is a UK newspaper, has a very interesting article. It's an unusual standpoint. Irene Baquet has been living in London for some years, but she's Catalan, but she also sees herself as Spanish and European. And she says, having seen what's played out in the wake of Brexit, which of course has made her feel like an alien in her own home, she said she had never wanted to support independence for Catalonia, but after Sunday's show of force, she says, what can I do now? And she also ponders whether or not Mariano Rajoy, the Prime Minister, was actually caught off guard by the momentum of the independence movement, or whether he's actually done the political maths and decided that enough Spanish people believe that Catalans deserve a bit of a slap down, deserve to be told that they should know their place, and therefore it's not as much of a political risk as it might seem. As for the actual protests going on today, this particular image has been one of the favourites. This gentleman turned up at the protests and he basically is carrying a sign that says that he doesn't want independence, but he can't stay at home while they beat up his people. And you can see the reactions that he's met with on the streets there, people embracing him and thanking him basically for coming out to show solidarity, even though he doesn't believe necessarily in their cause. This tweet as well, a wonderful image, and this Twitter user saying that basically that Spain with Catalonia is only possible with the People's Party outside of the government. This is the image the country wants. And of course, the important thing is this couple embracing. One has the Catalan flag, and the other the Spanish flag. And one final word on the protests today. Europe certainly coming in for a lot of criticism. The hashtag shame on you and shame on Europe being very widely used. This is what the message they chose to spell out, believing that the EU should be telling Spain that their reaction to this was inappropriate and it must be looked at another way.
A lot of images and videos going viral following that, and that is a story that is very much still ongoing, isn't it? Let's talk about something else then. The US President Donald Trump has arrived in Puerto Rico, where he's been meeting officials in the wake of Hurricane Maria, which hit just over a week ago. He says he's a man who speaks his mind, but some of the comments he's made since he arrived have really angered people, haven't they, frankly?
Yes, I think people really are quite shocked. However forthright Donald Trump is known to be, these comments do seem to be beyond the pale. Vox reporting that he basically told people in Puerto Rico that what they have suffered is not a real catastrophe like Hurricane Katrina. Now, yes, the death toll was far higher from Hurricane Katrina, but that's not really comparing like with like, and it doesn't make any sense to compare it just according to death toll because people are suffering. He also complained about the fact that it's throwing their budget out of whack. Trying to deal with absolutely. If you put a businessman in the White House, maybe that is what you get. Just very briefly, though, there is one other statement that he's made today about the shooting in Las Vegas that has people extremely upset. Take a look at what he had to say.
What happened in Las Vegas is in many ways a miracle. The police department has done such an incredible job, and we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by.
Going off script somewhat there again.
Absolutely. When he doesn't have a scriptwriter to hand, then his words tend to be a great deal stronger. And a lot of people on Twitter saying the only way that tragedy could be viewed as a miracle is if it results in the US getting stricter gun laws.
Emma, thanks very much indeed. Emma James there with MediaWatch.